The clients that I've got right now came to me without me sending any cold DMs, purely from my personal brand.
You would think that if you just had millions of people following you, then you can make millions of dollars, but we've seen time and time again that's not the case.
The reason why most people fail after a little bit with a brand is because all right, Hunter.
That's
Today we're going to talk about personal branding. But before we go into this somewhat cliche, somewhat overly hot, somewhat just extremely spoken about topic right now, kind of just briefly go over why anyone would even want to listen to your little American voice, talk about personal branding, why you might have some value to say, and then we can kick off.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. The reason why I think people would listen to me, I mean, it's not like you're listening to Hormozy, who's done $100 million in sales, but sometimes it's not super helpful to listen to somebody who is 20 steps ahead of you. Sometimes it's more helpful to listen to people who are just 5. It makes the distance seem more realistic. But besides the point, about 2-ish years ago, a year and a half, I was working as a Amazon fulfillment center. Like, I'd pack items into bags 200 times an hour. And then I was a valet who made minimum wage. And I just never wanted to work like a regular 9 to 5. I think I fundamentally have a problem with people telling me where to be and what I have to wear. So I just wanted to completely get rid of anything. Yeah, well, it's a different story. But so I built a daily newsletter that I just asked everybody I knew to subscribe to it, like that I knew in real life, like friends from high school, my parents, my family, everybody I knew in real life to subscribe to this newsletter. And it didn't end up going anywhere. I think I got around 300 subscribers, but I learned how to write every day and eventually realized that when you're broke, you don't have any real capital to deploy to build a business. You need to do it in the most leveraged way possible that's obviously free. And I found that to mean building an audience on social media and establishing my personal brand. Because previously I was just doing things anonymously, and that wasn't really working for me. So I made a profile on formerly known as Twitter and just started writing about things that I found interesting. And since the day that I joined what was called Twitter to when I was able to quit my job, took me 129 days. I know exactly the day because I know the day I joined Twitter and I know the day I quit. So, I mean, I was able to do it in, what is that, 4 or 5 months of just figuring things out, coming up with an offer, marketing it to people. So I would say that I have some experience in being able to turn nothing into, something. I can quit my job and be able to live and work for myself. And I know that there's plenty of people that probably want to do the same thing. So that's why I think people should consider listening to my American voice during this podcast. What about you, Tats? You Brit? Why should anybody listen to what you have to say about personal branding? And I mean, that's probably, you have, I think, twice as many followers than me, so I'm waiting for your answer.
Yeah, so similar to you, to be fair, personal branding is cliche as hell. Everyone's like, you need a personal brand, you need a personal brand. And to be honest, I've learned a lot of things over that time, which I think most people don't necessarily believe, but I think are true because of what I guess I've sort of done. I was working a 9 to 5, rewind back to January last year. Unlike most people, I actually quite enjoyed my 9 to 5. I was learning marketing and a bit of copywriting, had a great boss. But I've always wanted my own freedom, right? Like having to get up at a certain time, leave at a certain time, and also not having scalable income. Like not knowing that if I work an extra 5 hours a day, there's a chance that I'm going to make more money tomorrow. And I never liked that. I wanted my effort to be able to increase my income. And I also wanted my income to have no roof. I wanted it to be possible theoretically for it to be, say, 100,000 a month, 200,000, 500, and I just couldn't see that happening whilst I was at 9 to 5. So first off, tried to start a marketing agency, 2 months in, hadn't really gotten anywhere. Then came across a ghostwriting cohort for $6,000. Way too much money for me to put into a course at the time. So I went halves with my business partner, the guy we were trying to start up the agency with. And we took that course. And so on February 4th, I basically started posting content on Twitter properly. Now, I tried a little bit before this in January, but my account was anonymous. It was a jar. My profile picture was literally a jar of Branston pickle, because I thought it was good to have sort of a character and be anonymous and just shitpost. So I dropped about 5 comments and gained 1 follower. And my other follower was Dylan, so I had about 2. And so on February 5th, I was like, you know what? Let's actually give this a go. And so by the end of February, had posted like 3 to 5 times a day, like a few threads every single week, maybe gained like 100 followers. But then by the end of March, end of February, by the end of March, things started really getting crazy. I blew up from about 150 at the start of March to like 2,000 by the end of March. And then that growth just kept going, 2,000 a month, 2,000 a month. And then it started to taper off a bit because I ended up launching a cohort from my brand. The X-algo changed a bit. And to be honest, I just started putting less time into content. But my brand allowed me to also quit my 9 to 5 in mid-July, basically. So under 6 months from literally starting to write online properly. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have met my other business partner. I wouldn't have met literally any of the clients that I'm working with right now. And I actually quit my personal brand a few months ago because I came to I'll explain why maybe later on. But I just decided that I wanted to focus all my energy on just done for you, getting hands-on experience with businesses. But as of literally yesterday / a few days ago, I have now returned. And for this month of August, I'm on a mission to restart my growth on Twitter. So it's something that I'll be able to keep you guys here updated on. And it's going to be an interesting test for myself, because my account basically for the last 6 months has not been growing. So I'm going to see if we can change that now.
Why do you feel like, first of all, why did you so-and-so quit? I don't really feel like you're quitting, because I never thought like you would never return like to post content or a break. But why do you feel like you quit? And then what made you decide to come back and write content, especially on X? Because personally, I'm thinking about putting more of an emphasis on YouTube while I get, the clients that I'm onboarding figured out and returning back to content. Why come back to X? Why come back to a personal brand at all?
Great question. So the reason I stopped, is I didn't quit per se, because I wasn't like, oh, this is too hard, it's not working. I was like, I know this works, but it's because I wanted to change my business model. All I'd done up to that point was coaching. And the personal brand was all built around coaching. I was getting all my leads. I never sent a cold DM for coaching, not one. I would just send out either messages to my followers, or I would just send an email to my email list. And I made over 6 figures doing that. But after a while, I was like, I'm fed up of just coaching beginners. I want to actually work with businesses. I want to try different things, right? Like now I'm just launching a paid ad campaign this week. Like I've tried mass cold email. I've tried personal call. I wanted to get more experience in everything. And I felt that single focus is a big thing. And I was like, if I'm spending an hour a day on my brand, that's an hour a day taken away from doing all the other stuff. Fast forward 2 months, I've realized 2 things. One, the clients that I've got right now came to me without me sending any cold DMs, purely from my personal brand. So one of them is a 7-figure Agora trained copywriter, and I'm working for a startup basically. I'm starting to run paid ad campaigns, doing email campaigns, helping them with new offers, basically any sort of marketing I'm helping them with. Another client is a 9-figure entrepreneur, so scaled his first startup up to 100 million in revenue and exited another one. And he's got a little community of creators, and I'm the one strategizing marketing campaigns and writing emails for them. Another one is like a smaller coach with a YouTube channel who bought some consult from me and doing emails. And I kind of realized, wait, all of these people came from my personal brand, and I've just decided that it's a waste of time for me to be doing that. My mentor came from my personal brand. I went to Bali to visit a business advisor who I met from a personal brand. I'm recording this podcast with you who I met from personal brand. So I kind of realized, although it felt like low ROI because I didn't want to do coaching, the benefits were actually a lot larger than I realized. The other reason was I kind of decided to stop posting content because I didn't feel confident in the stuff I was putting out. I got, so to speak, experts curse, the Dunning-Kruger effect. I thought I was awesome. Then I was like, oh shit, I'm crap. And then I was like, wait, why am I even sharing content? I literally know nothing. I've been doing this for a year. And so I was like, I'm going to actually just get more hands-on experience. And then recently I hopped on a call with my mentor who, he sold like 100 million for clients. He was the number one SEO guy in the world, making like 10K a day as a solopreneur, back when Google was like popping off basically. And then he also has been in like the internet marketing space like 1995. And he sat me down and he was like, Tats, I basically told him that I was lacking the confidence for I need to get experience. He's like, Tats, look at yourself. You're sitting topless in a beautiful country on your laptop with no boss. You're able to work when you want, whenever you want. You can travel anywhere in the world. You have awesome clients. Do you realize how many people would die to be in your position right now? And then he said, I've been in this game for 2 decades, and there are still days I wake up and I wonder if I even know anything at all, or whether I'm just absolutely spouting crap. And I have to remind myself, yes, I do. So he was basically like, look, it's always going to be there. Get over it. And so this is actually what I wrote my email about today. And it's amazing. It's the first email I've sent in over a month and a half almost, and had like 5 people reply almost instantly. We're like, oh my God, I felt like you were talking straight at me, because although they were really experienced, also been struggling. And so after that, I was like, oh shit. And then I asked the question again with a private masterclass with Art of Purpose, who's made like almost 2 million from his personal brand over the last few years. And I always just thought he was another random Anon anonymous account, but he was actually said some really, really interesting insights about personal branding and content. And I asked him this same question again, and he was like, brother, posting content is the final step of learning. You're trying to translate your thoughts and what you think into posts, and you're keeping a pulse on your market. You're constantly talking to them. Why would you not want to be doing that all the time? And so I kind of realized like, oh shit, like before I was like, oh, I can't be asked for Twitter. It means engaging. Like, what's the point? And he was kind of like, you're just talking to your market. You're just building connections. You're just meeting new people. And that in and of itself is invaluable. And so whereas before I was like, I don't want to be on X anymore because I have to comment to get my post seen, I kind of see it more now as I just have to talk to a bunch of people to grow my audience, which is ultimately a good thing because I'm a digital nomad, so to speak. I don't work in an office. I'm not even in a city right now. I'm literally in the middle of nowhere. And Twitter is one of those places where I can almost be in a city whilst being in the countryside. And so at some point, I definitely will be hitting up YouTube and the other platforms. But I'm like, I understand X. I know a lot of people there. There's a lot of cool people on there. And I might as well just see if I can kickstart my growth back to what it used to be by spending just like an hour a day on it, basically.
It makes me think a lot about like you said the thing about Dunning-Kruger effect, like, and that hit me square in the head. Like, as I'm sure the people from your email list did, because I think about that too. Like, I think a lot about like when I first started the personal brand and the things I was writing about. You know, I was just like looking up YouTube videos, trying to get inspiration, learn some things. Like I was writing about, here are these 7 entrepreneurial frameworks you can use that I just learned from YouTube, you know?
I was teaching writing by reading a writing book, getting the Kindle highlights, turning it into a post, and then being like, here's writing tips. But it was great. I was learning all those tips even better for doing it. But it's crazy the confidence you have when you're a beginner.
Crazy. And then when you get a little bit of confidence, or experience, I should say, evidence, all of a sudden you're just like, wow, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I feel like paradoxically it should be the other way around, but it's not. And I think just talking about it and like, especially that perspective you have about, think about it. We're on our laptops right now. No one's telling us where to be after this. No one is. So like, it's easy to lose that perspective sometimes. But that's for, you know, people who have gotten to this point. For people who haven't and maybe thinking about wanting to start a personal brand, like, what does that even mean? Like, we say personal branding like it's this buzzword, but what does a personal brand mean? And why on earth would anybody start one?
This is a good question. I was asked this question by a political advisor who lives in Morocco, Atlas, one of the best personal brands on Twitter. And we were all like, oh shit, I don't know, like your account, whatever. And he's ultimately, it's just what people think of you. That's all it really comes down to. It's like, what would someone say about you when you're not there, almost, in a way. It's what presence do you have in people's mind, essentially. Like, you can have a very strong personal brand without necessarily having a social account. Like, everyone has a personal brand in a way, and social media is just a medium. Like, you can get a personal brand through just being on TV.
Right. It's more of
Social
like your
media.
reputation.
Yeah, in a way, it's your reputation. It's how many people know you and how they know you, essentially.
And how they
And
know you. I think that's a big part
which
of
is
it
the big
too.
one. Yeah, because I think everyone, they just want to be known, but they don't really realize that one of the most important parts is how you're actually known, which is why now you have some creators with millions of followers, but able to barely making like 10K a month, if that, because how they're known doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to hand over cash or sign business partnerships with you because you're known in the wrong way. Like, even take models, for example. You can do great selling affiliate products like fashion stuff, or starting a podcast, or all this sort of thing, or like a porn star, basically. But you're gonna struggle to sell any digital products or things like that. So you got to get creative in monetizing. But yeah, having 1,000 people. If you had 100 CEOs of Fortune 500 companies following you and thinking that you're super smart, that would be worth exponentially more than having 100,000 people follow you, but they were all 18-year-old guys trying to make something for themselves, or like get jacked or whatever. Like, yeah, you might make some money from it, but ultimately so I guess that's the other. It's not just how many know you and how they know you. It's also who knows you as well.
It's a good point. But leading up to the next question, like, so we established like your personal brand is essentially your reputation, like, and social media is a way for us to scale that reputation through means of, otherwise we wouldn't be able to. Like, there's no other way, there's no other time in human history that anybody in the world with an internet connection has been able to scale their reputation around the world without ever having to leave. But then that brings up the question, why do you do that? Like, what are the advantages to having an audience in the first place? The 100 CEOs, like, it might sound like intuitive, or like we would just know, like, of course we'd want this because we've built them. But maybe for people who are on the fence, like, why would you want to have that in the first place?
There are a lot of reasons. There are also a lot of reasons not to want it, because you can obviously get very wealthy without this. And some of the wealthiest people are usually the people that no one knows. But the simple advantages are that, first off, leads. If your audience is based around a service or an offer that you can offer, you will instantly have a load of people who you can sell your thing to without needing to pay any money for advertising. It is essentially free marketing. Yes, you're paying with your time, which is one thing. But if you get a good content system going, you don't need to pay the algo to share your name. The algo will share it with you because of what you create. On top of that, just general opportunities. And apart from just the base clients from your audience, and your audience also maybe wanting to work with you for XYZ thing, your word of mouth is now larger than your business. So let's say, for example, you own a car cleaning company. Now, typically the way a car cleaning company would work is maybe you put pamphlets around, maybe you tell anyone you can, hey, I've got a car cleaning company. You do some work for someone, they're really happy, they go tell someone else. Now, if you attach a social media personal brand to that, and you start posting videos of you doing your car company and all this sort of thing, all of a sudden, you're not just getting word of mouth from people who hear about your service or you've done your service too. You're also getting word of mouth marketing from people who just watch your content, because they're going to look at it. And if someone's like, hey, do you know a car cleaner in the local area? They're like, yeah. I actually just saw so-and-so just cleaning someone's car on Instagram. I think you should go check him out, basically. And so it gives you another means for generating word of mouth beyond your core service. And we all know word of mouth is the most powerful form of marketing if you can get it right. And I think those are the main ones for me. Honestly, opportunities, having a lot of leads, and basically just free marketing. just free traffic. Like attention and traffic is so valuable. And if you can just get that for free, like whatever you want to do, like you can build any business, and you can build a business and make a lot of money without even having to be that good at it. Take Conor McGregor, for example. He's launched his whiskey brand. He doesn't need to be insane at marketing to launch his whiskey brand because he's got such a strong brand already. He can literally be like, here, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, I think he did like his tequila Fridays or whatever during COVID. Just do a live stream, drink tequila and chat to the cameraman because he's got such a strong brand. Everyone wants to buy the tequila. So it's a bit of a buzzword because I think people get caught onto ideas. And I think now the idea is, if you've got a personal brand, I want to be rich, I can do anything. And a lot of people are now realizing that's not the case because they fail pretty quickly and it doesn't work out, or they don't make any money. But it has a lot of strong points as well.
It reminds me of like when you say that, you had a car washing business and somebody is like, oh, where should I get my car washed? Well, I just saw so-and-so on Instagram washing their car. It's almost like you're building like a digital clone of yourself in a way, because it reminds me of the Warren Buffett quote of like, if you don't find a way to make money while you're sleeping, you'll work till you die. And in a sense, with these personal brands, you're creating like a clone that is out there for you when you're not around, building your reputation, establishing new connections, because you don't have to be there when somebody sees your new post, they watch your YouTube video. You don't actually have to be there. That effort has already been done. So in a way, it's leverage, building a personal brand, because the product of it will keep producing results for you even after the effort has stopped. And that's why I think it's so powerful. And sometimes it's platform dependent. However, when you're just talking about your personal brand overall, like who knows you and how they know you, it doesn't matter what platform it is. It doesn't matter how you're posting the content or what content you post. It's more about who you are. And when people have that idea of you in your mind, you can build, essentially any business that you want to. Look at, you brought up perfect examples there. The Rock and Conor McGregor, two people who I think their liquor businesses are like worth the billions of dollars now. They didn't need to be some expert in alcohol. They didn't marketing. Nobody cares. It's because of who they are that you want to buy it from them. And even if you're not trying to start a business right now, maybe you want to start one later. Think about how much easier it would be if you had 1,000 people backing you for that business you start later versus having no support at all. I know you've seen the difference up close and personal, as have I, but why do you think some creators who build personal brands struggle to monetize? And I know we've talked about, not having the right audience, not, how do they know you? But when I started my personal brand, one of the biggest things I focused on was how can I monetize? And that was basically because I was at a shitty job that I didn't like and I wanted to leave. But for those who don't, like you hear about the Instagram influencer who has millions of followers and sold a t-shirt for $19 and she made like what, $100 some from it. Like you would think that if you just had millions of people following you, then you can make millions of dollars. But we've seen time and time again, that's not the case. Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think people have a hard time monetizing the audience that they build? Do you think they're not building it for the right reasons, not attracting the right audiences, not having the right offer, a combination of all? I'm curious to get your thoughts.
I think it's because, well, obviously how you're known is the biggest thing, and who you're attracting. Ultimately, I think it just comes down to those two things. Like a lot of people's content is not about them. It's just about the content. And so people aren't following you because they want to be you or you're in an aspirational place. They're just following you maybe because you make funny videos and you find those videos funny. Maybe you don't even know their name. The other reason is people if you don't have anything of value to offer, if there's nothing aspirational about you, you're not going to be able to monetize your audience. Like so many people are like, they post like sympathy style content. They're like, oh, my life's so hard. Or like, I've been posting 100 days and I still make zero money, but I still keep doing it. It's like, bro, who is going to pay you money from your personal brand when you need to have something of value? Which is why I actually don't think starting a personal brand is necessarily the best thing to do if you have zero skills. If you're learning a skill whilst doing it, that's different. Kind of like how you learned Notion alongside doing Twitter, right? That worked.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just see doing the personal brand as the skill itself. And so that's why they start doing it. Like even for me, I didn't start just doing that. I was like, I'm going to be a ghostwriter. And to be a ghostwriter, I need to show that I can write content. So I'm going to grow my following to get ghostwriting leads and to use it as proof. I wasn't just like, I'm going to create a personal brand for the sake of personal brand and just see what happens. Of which you see a lot of those brands on X and they make no money from it. They're doing nothing. They're not monetizing. They just have a few followers. Because you need to have something of value, whether you're absolutely jacked and ripped and people want to be jacked and ripped, whether you get ridiculous amounts of work done so people want to be as productive as you, or whether you have some sort of niche skill. And so I'd say, if you are thinking about the personal brand, you need to nail in on that skill that you're going to be known for and share yourself getting really good at that skill with your audience. And that's when it gets valuable. It's use. People don't monetize because they don't have the skill. Like it's the classic, I help creators build a brand of authenticity, and you check the profile, it's like a shitty profile picture and like 800 followers, and you're like, brother, this is a road which leads to nowhere. And it pains me seeing how many people of those do that, because I also see how many people fail. Like I've seen so many people cycle through and not like leave because they wanted to do something else like me, like leave because they couldn't make any more money and they've given up and they think making money online is the hardest thing in the world and it's impossible because they never had anything to offer in the first place. So yeah, I think that's why. I want to ask you a question. How did you go about building your brand as a beginner?
That's a good question because I didn't really have any guidance per se. I found Notion through Thomas Frank, and I found it before I started Twitter. Obviously, I had a Twitter account before with the finance newsletter, but I wasn't exposed to this world of like personal brands and building online businesses. Like I kind of had one foot in the door, but I didn't know everything about it. So I believe I found this person named Hey Islo. Like my friend showed me this account. He was like, look at this guy. Like he's 20 years old. He's got 200,000 followers online from selling these Notion things that you just started. And I'm like, what? Like it was a revolutionary concept to me. I had no idea that this was possible. So I started watching a lot of YouTube videos, consuming tons of content on X from people that I wanted to be like, people that have quit their jobs that were young or younger, and they just built something out of nothing. I just wanted to consume all of that. I specifically remember watching many YouTube videos from Dickie Bush and Nicolas Cage, where they talked about how to write, like formats of writing styles and templates and how to get inspiration and ideas. And I just tried to consume it all as much as I could because I saw what it did for other people. And I knew that if they did it, then why could I not? And it was around the same time I started listening to Hormozi and his advice. And he said something that I still take with me to this day of anything that you do is going to work out. It just depends on your time horizon. So in my mind, I was like, this will work out because I'm never going to stop doing this. So that in that way, there's no way it won't work out. I think that sort of, beginner confidence helped me stay around long enough to see results where I could then use the evidence to continue to be like, okay, this is working. This is something I can continue to do.
That makes sense. What are your plans now? Because I know with X, you also dialed down a little bit in terms of engaging and that sort of thing. What Where does your personal brand go from here?
I don't think I'm ever gonna stop posting content on X. Although I don't think it will be the same, forever. I think it's ridiculous to think that anybody could continue to keep posting the same content forever, like in the same style. Like people change, and your content is a reflection of that, of yourself. So I'm going to continue to post things on X, find things that I share or that I think are interesting, but I'm going to make more of a transition to YouTube once I kind of nail down the strategy that I want to do.
Bro,
And after I get some of these clients onboarded. I know.
Now.
But I think about it like in two ways, right? I could come up with these, like, I think I get too involved in like the strategy and thinking of like, I need to get it perfectly right versus just going and doing the thing because like right now, I really want to make a YouTube video about daily journaling with AI because like I have my daily journal and then I have these philosophers that give me feedback on my daily journal as if they're talking to me. I think that's awesome. So I wanted to like build that out in a YouTube video, but it doesn't really relate to my ICP and my target audience. And, so like that's where I get stuck in my mind with it.
Kind of does. It can. It depends who you want to attract. If you want to attract people who are interested in that, then it does. Depends on what you build your brand around. Like if your brand is around AI and systems, right? If that's kind of your brand, AI systems and automations, then it still technically comes in because it falls under the AI bracket, right? Like it's not like you're just like,
true.
Here's my little journaling habit. You're like, here's how I get the advice from AI philosophers every morning. Like it's a completely different story because you could even tie that into create a GPT around Warren Buffett, and you could let him know like what decision you're making or the situations in your business. You could be journaling business stuff, and then he could be like, "Hey, you seem like you're overthinking this thing, or you seem like maybe you should do that." Like obviously it's an AI, so it can only say so much, but it could still potentially be useful. And so yeah,
I suppose you just gave me an idea.
Yeah, I would say still do it, to be honest. Like in terms of the strategy, YouTube strategy doesn't have to be complicated. Literally just map out 3 to 5 buckets, content buckets, and then list out content ideas under that bucket. Go to the search engine and see what people are searching for. Type in like the first 2 words of your bucket. Say AI automations, and then see what people are searching up after that. That should give you another like 10 video ideas. Like the strategy is not what you need. You literally just need to start recording. Like you've done a video with no strategy and no recording, and it's got like 2K views, and it's the only like one of the only videos, if not the only video you ever posted. Yeah,
which is
so it's like, what? I don't get what you're waiting for. Like if I had my thing, because like for me, the reason why I don't is I'm broaching into areas which are so vast and large that I'm still literally a complete beginner in them. Like this week, I'm learning everything I can about Google Ads for my first time. So I'm obviously not going to be creating YouTube videos about Google Ads before this. And so for me, I'm literally, I mean, you could argue, just make a YouTube video and show what you're doing. And I could, but I don't think it's attracting the right people. It's not putting me as an authority necessarily. It's more putting me as the beginner, which is not what I want as my brand when it comes, like I'd be doing it more for lead generation. You, however, you're not changing your niche. You have your niche literally mapped out, and you're doing it, and you have huge case studies, and you're working with massive agencies. You are the perfect position to just be like, I probably have an hour spare this week to make one video to put on YouTube. So easy. Like, and you have time as well. I know you have time. And so it would literally, you not even 3 hours maximum to write a little title to get a video done. More, and that is the same. I mean, I don't know if you still watch any Netflix or anything, but that is literally 3 episodes of something, and you would be done. So yeah, I think, and the data your niche is hot right now. Like my niche it's always hot. Like copywriting's popular, but your niche is specifically hot right now because it's still a new thing. There are not that. How many other experts can you name in your niche that are better than you?
Like 3 or 4. but they're like better in different areas.
Exactly. 3 or 4. Copywriting and marketing, brother. There are hundreds of millions who are better than me because I'm still selling it. And obviously there are 100 millions who are less bad, but it's in like digital marketing. It's not established, but like it's been around for a while now, and copywriting's been around for hundreds of years. Like it's just human psychology, larger marketing. And so, yeah, you're in a unique position. You're in a hot niche. You've already validated your video styles and whatever because you've done one video and it's got 2K views. The road has been laid for Hunter Bohm to launch his YouTube channel. So, yeah,
I think I just had to get out of my own head. You've definitely helped that, though. I'm like, why am I so focused on strategy? Like, the things I'm picking are within the buckets already. Like, they're going to... I have, like, it already attracted leads. Like, why am I in my own head? Yeah, okay. I mean... I'm willing to bet, like, after this recording, if I were to sit down for maybe an hour maximum, I could crank out a video.
I reckon you could easily.
We're gonna find out because I want to do this one with the daily journaling with AI. But then you brought up another great point. Like, instead of building, and I could build custom GPTs to do like, give me advice on business things. I could also turn it into the same thing with daily journaling, where I would just like open up a new page, write down the problem I'm having with business right now, and then have like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger and Hormozi and like all these business leading experts give me advice on that problem. Same concept works. It's just giving me a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
They're fairly simple to build out.
Andrew Kirby's obsessed with Hormozi, and he made a GPT and just uploaded like every single video that Hormozi's put out and piece of content so that he could just ask Hormozi specific questions, and then it'll reference where that bit of info's come from. Like how do you go and think about customer, like, I don't know, cost per acquisition, basically. And it could be like Bohm, which I think is sick.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
I've done the same thing with the books, $100 million offer and leads, just putting like the books into GPTs.
How did you? Except they're kind of. I wanted to do that, but I couldn't do it because it only just used like book summaries from the internet.
So I went, and I don't know how this is possible, but it was like this for any book that I looked up online. Like, if you just look up a book and then after it say PDF, like, you're gonna find a PDF of the entire book.
Yeah.
So I just found the PDFs of the books, downloaded them, and then uploaded them to their knowledge base. The problem with that is...
Can it read the text in the PDF though?
Yeah, it can read the text in the PDF and give you an answer based on what you're asking. The problem is when you're asking something, it only looks for like a chunk of text or like a few pages at a time that's relevant to what you're asking. So you're really not getting like a full answer because it's not referencing the entire book, which is, a disadvantage right now. But this will be fixed eventually. Just given the trajectory of how AI is growing and the advancements they're making, that won't be a problem. But for right now, I think it's a little bit annoying.
Yeah, you'll probably look back at it and laugh at the fact that you couldn't.
Oh, we will. We will look in 5 years, maybe less than 5 years, maybe like in 2 years almost. I bet we're going to look back at ChatGPT 3.5 when we all thought that was better than Google and be like, what were we thinking?
Yeah. Have you got any plans to revive your axe?
Yes, in a way. I don't think yeah. I would like to have a more consistent strategy. I just like, in the same way that you're thinking about it, like, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have met all of my clients. I wouldn't have met all of these people. So I'm like, why am I thinking that it's not a high ROI? I think that's because I'm thinking of like just doing the YouTube videos because, being more technical within the service I'm providing.
Yeah.
It's easier to showcase that in things like YouTube, where I feel like it's more effort to try and showcase that in X. But I mean, I've done it before, so I know that I can. I think I've just felt I felt more unmotivated with X recently than platforms like YouTube.
Yeah, no, I get that.
What has been when you came back to posting content? What was your like thought train about that? Did you have like okay, I'm gonna post this amount of times every day. I'm gonna do 2 threads a week. I'm gonna do 1 email every other day. Like, did you have that in your head when you know came back?
Yeah, so not initially. I said art of purpose, did a private masterclass in my mentor group. He actually I bargained to just I've not tried to learn, I guess, anything about creating content in months. Because I kind of like in my head I was like, I've done it. But I was also like, actually, you know what? I actually would quite like someone who's just been doing this longer as just advice. So I ended up just joining his community, like $700 or whatever, and bagged 2 calls with it as well. And I was like, I'm going to wait for that call and then see, basically, like, quiz him. And so one thing that, everyone's like, oh, you got to be polarizing, got to be controversial. I'd in the past been trying to do that, and it just didn't really fit me and my brand. Like, I don't like to, I'm not a very, like, mega opinionated person. Like, I'm often opinionated about not being opinionated, right? Because I think having a strong belief is sometimes extremely dangerous because you no longer see the other side. And I like to try as much as I can to see the other side. And so I would never like be like, this is the best way, or you have to do this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just not I'm not a very aggressive person, to be fair. And so I always found that hard. And so I'd been trying to do that. And so basically on the call, he was like, man, you just got to create the content that you enjoy creating, that other people also enjoy. And when I look at my old, like, my content was already doing well. I didn't need to overthink, I need to be posting more like this, I need to be posting more like that. And so he gave me a few really, really good points, which I'll just go through today. So let's start on the content side of things and your brand. So he was like,
Yeah.
The reason why most people fail after a little bit with the brand is because they achieved the purpose that their entire brand was about initially. And you will see this so much once you're done. So for me, my initial purpose was get ghostwriting clients, and then it was quit my 9 to 5. I achieved all of those things. And then, so I brought in loads of people into that mission whilst I was on that mission. But afterwards, I no longer had a mission that was clearly defined in my brand. I was no longer building in public, so to speak. There was no one like, oh, this is what he's doing. Because ultimately your brand is, you have this mission of where you want to go. Let's say 6, doesn't have to be further than like 3, even 1 month, 6 months ahead. Then all your content are stories about you trying to get there, lessons of you getting there, and then behind the scenes of you getting there. And then you can share posts here and there. Even take Elon Musk, right? Everyone knows his missions, right? EV cars, going to space, etc., etc. Half of his content is just rockets, literally behind the scenes, him is doing that. And then he's shit posting and just being human. And sometimes he'll share a lesson, an opinion on things, right? And it's different for people like to be fair, even Conor McGregor, right? He wanted to become the #1 heavyweight champion in the world. Not heavyweight, sorry, featherweight, UFC champion, lightweight, I can't remember exactly which one. And so everyone rallies around that mission. Anthony Joshua rallying around that mission, right? Everyone's got these missions. Where the brand slowly starts to die is they no longer state where they're trying to go next. So for me, I completed my 9 to 5. All like Glenn, Dylan, all of them, they all completed what they want to do. And then they didn't tell their audience anymore, this is my purpose. This is why I'm going next. And so he was basically like, you always need to have some sort of purpose for your brand and yourself right now. And then all your content is around that. And that's how you want to brand. So that was the first thing he got to me. So today I just posted my little, here's what my goals are for August, basically. And even just asked myself, like, what actually are my goals? Like, what even is my purpose over the next 6 months? And then you create the content around that, basically. And the other thing outside of coming more into content again, he was like, he will just get all his content ideas either from the timeline or from comments. So he will literally just scroll for a little bit and be like, oh, I'll write this or I'll do that. Sometimes you write your big mega piece. That's obviously done before and scheduled. But by the way, he never really schedules even too much, basically. And then the other thing is, like, don't be the guy, which I was, by the way. It's like, you have 15 minutes to engage here and then you have to stop. Because
Me too.
Ultimately, there's no shortcut to getting people to care about you. And so, especially on a platform like X, where it's all conversational based, you need to be doing everything you can to get people in your comment section, which means you need to, when you post a post, immediately you want to reward everyone who engages first on that piece of content by starting a conversation, saying something funny, answering it, and then that gives more stuff for new people to see your posts and your comments and replies in your comment section. Because essentially what you want to do is get the audience addicted to your comment section, because that's what's going to blow your content up and push it out further and further. And then the final kind of key point you mentioned is like, don't stop networking. There's always small, fast, new, growing accounts. There's always accounts who are putting a lot of energy in. You want to be friends with the accounts who put a lot of energy into their X account, driving a lot of engagement, because ultimately if you're engaging with them and they're engaging with you, your content is being shown to larger buckets. This is another thing I stopped doing over time because I didn't want to engage. I was like, I don't want a business that requires me to engage. And so I think this is the different thing for me coming back now. I don't need to be posting content or engaging to grow my business. Like, I have my income now from my business. I'm not even really doing coaching anymore, right? But the brand now can just be an extra. It's like I have a little bit of spare time. It's actually worth it to meet the new people. And later down the line, if I want to launch another coaching offer, it's perfect. I've got a list which is growing. It's like 2,600 now. And yeah, so it's like, why wouldn't I be doing this basically? So keep networking, meeting high engagement people, engaging with them, and then doing whatever you can to get people addicted to your comment section, whilst pushing on what your purpose is right now and what your mission is. Like, for example, with you, like, is it a specific milestone? Do you want to scale to 30K a month or whatever? Do you want to try and get another client? Do you want to try and get out of the US? And my mission now is to get a nice flat in Europe or whatever, where I'm going to be for 3 months. And that's what I'm going to work towards. Or it's like a happy marriage. Like, it can literally be anything, but you just need, it's like a story, right? No one, the great films which really bring people in and make you feel heartfelt, all the characters are trying to get somewhere. And I think that's kind of what I forgot. Like, I knew basically all of this before. It's kind of just stuff you already know. But classic, as you learn more, I think you overanalyze, you fall into the expert's curse, you start doubting, and then you just ultimately try to overcomplicate things. So it's just been a good lesson on that.
Man, you hit a lot of points that I personally like really related to, with like posting content that you enjoy and that other people enjoy. Like, that's how I got my first client. And then I immediately overcomplicated it, thinking like, okay, now I need to tailor my entire content strategy around these people that are going to buy from me, when originally it was just, I built everything because I was posting content that I enjoyed and that other people enjoyed. And then I had this goal, like, to quit my 9-to-5, and then I did. And then I was like, well, I don't feel like I'm going towards that mission anymore. Like you said, I think that is really important, to think of yourself like this character that people are following along your journey to. Because you're right, like, when we're going towards this mission, we're posting lessons about it, what we're learning, what didn't work, what worked really well, stories, case studies, like successes, losses. I mean, I think that's a great point for anybody who is in our position, or maybe just starting one. Like, have somewhere you're going, I think, is the biggest piece. Doesn't matter who you are, or what you're doing, what skills, what industry, what niche. Have somewhere you're going that people want to follow you along on that path. It's quite frank and simply.
Yeah. And so for me now, my main thing is I'm giving myself like an hour a day for it. My number one priority is minimum like 2 posts a day. But even bigger than that, just engage with people again. Like, it's just back to basics. Meeting more people, engaging with more people, getting them to engage with my stuff. And then I'll start basically posting more like story stuff, origin stories, things that I've been doing, things that I've been up to, just updating people. Like, the other thing that he said is like, if someone went up to one of your followers and was like, hey man, here's an A4 sheet of paper, write everything you know about Hunter Bohm on that piece of paper. How much would they know? How many people would know that you used to be a valet and it took you 149 days or whatever it was to quit your 9-to-5? How many people know that you now have a Latina girlfriend who you love spending time with? How many people know that, like, just what do people know? And the bigger that people can easily fill out that sheet of paper, the better. The stronger your personal brand, basically. Like, I know Arnold Schwarzenegger's whole bloody life story. And so it's like yeah, I think that's why a book can something get powerful. We're obviously not writing books. So yeah, that's kind of my plan for this next month. It's just spending an hour basically to actually engage. and write a little bit of content, and then start putting out more stories, basically. Back to basics. Like, there was a period where I was posting a story every single day, and it was consequently like probably the period I was also growing the fastest. So it's just engaging, getting your content seen, and then writing good content.
Yeah. Nail, hammer, head, smacked right there. Doesn't get much simpler than that.
Let's start growing, people. I'm growing my ex. You better post a video this week. By the next time, I think we should come up with an accountability. If you haven't, actually, I got to give myself one as well. To be fair, to be fair, I'll give you a challenge, and then you give me a challenge.
All right.
So,
perfect.
If you haven't posted a YouTube video by next Thursday, when we record the next edition of this podcast, then you have to post. Let me think about this. You have to post a picture, a close-up picture of your elbow, like that, so it looks like your bum on with no caption.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, here's a challenge for you then. You have to write at least 2 stories like you used to, like long form stories. And if you don't, you have to post and try and convince everybody to buy into your latest crypto coin.
Oh, no. That is so very good. I'm writing that down now. Fuck's sakes. Right, 2 stories. Right, 2 stories on X. Alright, we have ourselves a deal. Fellas, I just wrote the pod. Been a pleasure.
That is. Until next time, leave 5 stars, comment, share with your friends. It helps us a lot. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, see you.
See you.
Yo, it's time to build leverage, stack up your advantage. Life and business time to manage, never stay stranded. Start with the vision, mission, plan of attack. Keep your eyes on the prize, no looking back.